It's always a delight. I can't stop mentioning it. The level of joy and and satisfaction I get once it's 4 o'clock. And I know that on this side, I am fully aware that you are part of this program. You are there. You're calling up your neighbors, friends, family, and saying, let's sit down. For someone, a station is going to remind us that it's time to talk, time not to keep quiet, time to speak up, time to be not just our brother's keeper, but bring our issues to the fore, discuss it, and take solutions, and get our hands dirty to work. Yes, I had to go that long haul. It's Friday, and it's beautiful. For everyone across Africa, I want to say thank you very much. For everyone across Asia, Europe, every other part of the globe, I want to say thank you very much. We've been receiving your feedback, and we are not saying positive, negative, but the feedback matter a lot to us. I want to say thank you very much for every comment, every direct mail, direct WhatsApp messages. I want to say thank you. Thank you very much. My name is SOUQ, John Rogers SOUQ, and on SOUQ Pulse, we give you a direct tagline. Don't keep quiet. Keep talking. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's good business, bad business, whether it's good lending, bad lending, whether it's good policy, bad policy, whether it's good leadership, bad leadership. What should we do? We stand and we talk. Because when we talk, then we have a premise. With that, we can say, good, let's take action. Positive action. We go beyond the problem and seek solutions. We ask ourselves, where is economy going to? Where are nations looking forward to? What is the next big thing? What is the technology that will sweep the globe in years to come? What are people preparing for? What should we let go? What actions should be taken? What is our education doing? We all get talking. I want to say thank you very much for everyone that has been part of this particular collage. We've been here for a while. I'm always very excited. And I say thank you very much. On SOUQ Pulse today, we are going to bring something that we've not talked about for once on this particular show. It's something that divides a lot of people. But if we look at it, we know that it is an industry. And it is changing things already. And where is Africa going to come in and play? Across the world, every part of this globe, this particular name keep coming up. This particular word keep coming up. And what are we talking about? Cryptocurrencies. Now we're asking ourselves directly, is Africa ready for this revolution? Is Africa ready for this cryptocurrency revolution? Now, it doesn't matter how it is happening in your side of the country, your neck of the wood, which part of Africa you are, which part of Asia you are, which part of Europe you are. Now, let's break it down. At the last count, because this changes per hour, the market capitalization of the cryptocurrency industry is about $2.49 trillion. Now, this is for a very, very young industry. $2.49 trillion. Now, what's the adoption like? We'll get our guests to open up and tell us a whole lot about it. How can Africa benefit? How can Africa stand up and take a stand? What is Africa doing wrong? To be part of this particular show today, this particular program today, and do justice to it is no other person but an expert in this field. Someone who has dedicated both time, energy, and resources in not just studying, but practicing and investing in this particular industry. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome, for the first time to SOUQ Pulse, Professor Olaleye Awe. Good afternoon, boss.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
I like it when I look at you and all I get to see behind you is like the map of the world.
Yeah, we want to take over the world, so we need to keep an eye on that.
You're welcome. We want to say thank you for joining us and thank you for being part of SOUQ Pulse here today. On SOUQ Pulse, we talk and we say welcome. Now, we always ask our question directly from our topic. That's more like an introduction, and we head on from there. Is Africa ready for the crypto revolution?
I would say yes, because I believe that crypto was specifically made for Africa. In my honest opinion, I believe crypto and Africa are a match made in heaven. And I believe that it is one of the bridge that could take us to gaining some of the time lost from, catching up late from the Industrial Revolution.
In heaven is one of those leaps that can help us catch up with the Industrial Revolution, which unfortunately Africa missed. Now,
Yeah, Africa
this
missed the
brings us
first
to
two.
another question, stemming from what you said.
Yeah.
This thing that you have seen, do you think African leaders see it this way?
Unfortunately, in most parts of Africa, we tend to catch up with most things much later, you know. And I think in Africa at the moment, we have very mixed reaction to crypto.
Now, for those that are wondering why we are here, this is an industry where everyone can play. And for those that don't understand, there is a large number of cryptocurrency holders in Africa. There is a large number of cryptocurrency transactions in Africa. Okay, our Prof is back. Hello, Prof. Awe.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you very much. Now, we were asking if African leaders see the same vision, see the same picture you're seeing before we lost you. Can you continue, please?
Oh, okay. So I was saying that at the moment there's a mixed reaction to crypto in Africa. There's some of the leaders that see crypto as a good thing for their society. There's some that see it as a scam. There's some that see it as a Ponzi scheme. So you have varying reactions to crypto in Africa. But I believe that most of the time, I believe it's also coming from the place of ignorance. When you're not very savvy about something, there's a high chance that you will fight it instead of aligning with it and using it to your advantage. And I think that is where Africa currently lies. We have that struggle between believing that this thing could be our bridge to the future. And, because for me, I've been in the industry for quite a while, and I can tell from what I see that this technology is specifically, for Africa. Africa, needs to latch onto this to gain some speed, into the future, as it were. And, I believe that the future belongs to Black, belongs to Africa. And I understand that if governments will just be more open-minded, because I think the large part of the problem is that there's no flexibility. People are skeptical, and in Africa, we mostly fight what we don't understand. And that's the problem we've always had. And I believe it's only a matter of time before the results will overtake the doubts. And of course, like you all know, results always cancel arguments. So I believe it's just a matter of time. And everything will come out more clearly with time.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Awe. I like it when you talk from a place of knowledge, not just from a place of knowledge, but from a place of understanding and confidence. It's just a matter of time. That now begs me to ask, that time, do we have it? Don't answer that yet. Let's look at the West. For those that might not understand, the US government, in their own treasury, hold Bitcoin. They hold a sizable amount of this same cryptocurrency.
I think they're currently in the top 10 highest
Let's go
holders.
to China. China, who happens to be the big players, they are always fighting each other. The Chinese government, in their own treasury, hold cryptocurrency. Let's go to Russia. In their own treasury, they don't only hold, well, let me not use those other parts of the world. Now, we get to see African countries. Just like you said, it takes time. We get to see African countries standing up and directly or indirectly standing against this technology that the same people that are telling you in one way or the other, be it through the lending organization telling you to clamp down on your own people transacting in this. How can we start changing this? Because it looks more like we are listening to people who are doing it, telling you not to do it. How can we tell our leaders, size up, wake up, look?
Okay, so I would say it largely depends on what the leaders are interested in doing. Because I believe if you want liberation for your people, you will embrace anything that, gives them freedom and gives them the opportunity to, develop themselves and, you know, connect with the world, so to speak. And I think that's where the issue lies. Most African governments have not proven so far to be people-oriented. They say it in their speeches, but in their policies and actions, it's a deviation from that. And I think when governments begin to be more interested in empowering the people, there will be a shift from that, previous um, nonchalant attitude of not much respect to innovation and all of that. But I believe looking at what is being done uh, in more developed economies, there is this first and foremost attitude to try to keep the innovation going on so that innovation doesn't stop, which to me is very important, right? And that is one of the reasons why the crypto industry has remained largely unregulated, because governments in the developed world don't want to kill the prospects of developing the technology. So they're taking their time to first understand it and then build policies around it. In Africa, we have the opposite of that happening. People seem to be doing the exact opposite of that, which is you're trying to regulate something you don't understand. And that will often lead to, most of the time, you will stall the innovation, you will kill the drive for people to do, much better. And, that for me is where the battle has been, because even in Nigeria, for years, we've lobbied the government to, put in some framework that encourages, people to come into the industry and innovate and bring real solutions to the country in different sectors. But, it's been quite a difficult journey so far, because there's this um, most people tend to think that crypto is a Ponzi scheme. Maybe that is how most people got introduced to crypto. But crypto itself is much more than even cryptocurrencies. It's the blockchain industry as a whole. And blockchain is a very wide and deep industry. And it has solution for almost every area of human endeavor, right? Whether it's logistics, whether it's politics, whether it's AIDS, different ways that you could get things out of crypto to benefit the society. And that's why I said it depends, first of all, on what the aim of government is. If the aim of government is to better the chances of their people, then they would adopt a more open and positive um, disposition towards crypto. But I'm trying not to say some things on camera, but it's just the way it is. And I believe that the more governments begin to be more interested in the advancement of their people, the more you will begin to see some more positive disposition towards crypto and other innovations coming up. I heard recently that Nigeria is trying to tap into the AI space, and I'm wondering where's the electricity for us to do that. But that's another conversation entirely. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Now, for those that are used to SOUQ Pulse, for our regulars, and for those that are just tuning in for the first time, you know it as it is. On SOUQ News, we are all about positivities, and I'm happy we have Prof here today. What is always keeping people down is ignorance. And for those ignorance, we don't excuse them on this program. We bust it. And we look at your face and tell you the way it is. And tell you, hey, look at the mirror. You're going the wrong direction. It doesn't matter if it's one person that is on the right direction. We'll keep saying it. Now, for people that might not understand, you made a mention of how they were introduced to crypto. Now, for those that look at it as a Ponzi scheme, somebody told you to come and buy into his business. You were not introduced to crypto. You were introduced to that person's business. Let that be like more of like the basics. So you bought into somebody's business who happens to be a criminal. Straightforward. Now, let's look at adoption. Adoption of cryptocurrencies. For those that might not know, or for those that might not be aware, outside this country, you can walk into some particular shops, some particular mega lines, and pay for their services or their goods with cryptocurrency. Now, what has been the adoption? What is the adoption like in where you are right now? And what does it look like growing in the next 4 or 5 years before now start looking at Africa? Has it been positive?
Okay, so interestingly, just before I came on this session, I just made a payment for a product online with my crypto card, and I've been using it to pay in shops, in stores, all over the place. And, the truth of the matter is that crypto is one innovation that I believe could change a lot of things for a lot of people. And interestingly, Africa is the part of the world that needs that, we talk about this a lot in Nigeria, especially in the fintech industry. We talk about banking the unbanked, and it's more like a catchphrase at the end of the day, because you see that the solution that has the ability to make that happen quicker, we, try to push it aside or even kill it, and that's very amusing to me. Here I've been making payments with my crypto card. I've made, even in stores, when I go out in stores, when I go anywhere, I pay with my crypto card, and there's a feeling that it gives me knowing how it was in those days where nobody wanted to have anything to do with crypto. And now you can literally live your life solely on crypto. Now, that brings a lot of things to the table, because it then begs the question, because a lot of people think that crypto is opaque, in that people can't trace transactions and all those kind of things, which is one of the things that make governments, a little bit afraid that, oh, this thing is going to take power away from us. And that is the plain truth, because crypto was created, or blockchain was created, to hand power back to the people, and that means that people can decide what parts of their life they make, available to the government, and what parts of their, value system is available to the government to manipulate. And, that for me gives a lot of power to the everyday person. Because, for example, this card, I can use it anywhere in the world. I don't have to own a bank account. It's not tied to my bank account, it's tied to my crypto account. So I can make payments, I can, swipe anywhere, I can, literally do anything that you can do with your traditional bank. And this is the idea. You're trying to bring a lot of people into the financial system without necessarily having to go through the banking infrastructure, which means that banks, of course, somehow you still have to interact with the bank somewhere along the chain, but it's not the is not necessary in the majority of the so adoption generally in Europe, in North America, and a lot of the parts of Asia is very positive and growing. There is that continuing um, interest in seeing crypto become, because one of the things that crypto enables, yeah, is it allows micropayments, which means you can make very minute payments with crypto cheaply. And you can make cross-border payments with crypto very quickly, very efficiently, and very cheaply as well. Now, these things, of course, is a disadvantage for the what will I call it? The existing banking infrastructure that is a bit slower and a bit more expensive. So I understand why they may have, negative dispositions towards uh, towards the industry, as it were. But I believe that crypto cannot replace the banking system. I don't think that was the intention. I think at the end of the day, crypto can be a layer that gives more people access to banking services and so many other things that the current banking system lacks um, the ability to provide. And so I believe that, well, in Africa, we have growing number of companies that are providing, layers of crypto solutions. Like, for example, in Kenya, there are solutions there that you can make payments on in normal stores and everywhere else with crypto. And I think we're having that in Nigeria as well. In the last year, um, Bitcoin ATMs have grown by, I think, about 400% in Nigeria. So Nigeria is not left out of that revolution. It's happening. It's just that a lot of time there's a lot of ignorance. So there's people fighting something just because they don't understand it. But I believe it's a matter of time. You can fight it. You can, it's interesting. Some years ago, the CEO of JP Morgan said crypto is nothing but a Ponzi. And, it's something everybody should run away from. Guess what? Now, the biggest access to Bitcoin ETFs that was approved in January, the same bank is one of the biggest players in that particular. So you see that you can fight it, you can speak against it, but with time, the truth is going to be revealed. And that's something I believe we are here for.
Very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof. Now let's go this way. We are saying this so that every policy maker out there in Africa, every enthusiast out there in Africa watching us, you go out and do your own research. You go out and ask questions. You don't just follow the crowd because someone said, because one government said. You find out things for yourself. Sometime towards the end of last year, there were a whole lot of direct positive publications and submissions for ETF, Bitcoin ETF. And
Bitcoin
the major
ETF.
push was from BlackRock, which happens to be the biggest hedge fund managers in the world.
Yes,
and as we speak, that has been approved. As we speak, same thing is happening in Hong Kong. Same thing is happening in several Asian countries. They are going forward. Their SEC, their Security Exchange Commission, National Security Exchange Commission, are not getting involved. They are directly involved. It goes to their Senate. It goes to their national assemblies, and approvals are given. Now, why are we laying these foundations? We are laying these foundations for African countries to look at what people that are way ahead of us economically are doing. And now this brings me to this question. Now let's look at the banks. People have a fear, the banks, I won't call it fear, that crypto will usurp their activities, usurp their business. How can banks play in this industry? Because whether they like it or not, it has come. And if you don't run with the flow, you will just be another Nokia. You will be another the guys that were making black and white films. The technology is here. How can banks
Kodak,
play?
yeah.
Because if it continues in this light, I look at Swift and I laugh. How can banks play in this industry?
Okay, so like I said before, I understand the disposition of banks to the crypto innovation because, of course, it's going to, especially African banks, because I think many banks in several countries are beginning to get licenses to get involved in the crypto industry as custodians, as even allowing their customers to be able to buy and sell crypto directly within the banking services. And that's common in Europe, that's happening in the US. So I understand that in Africa, banking is a bit different. And maybe that is why, they're skeptical, because if crypto continues to grow the way it's going, there will be less and less need for some of the services that banks provide. And that's understandable. But I don't think that crypto can entirely replace banking, as it were, because I believe that banking is beyond just taking deposits and giving loans and all the other things in between. I believe banking, is the bedrock of the economy, and it needs to create more value, than just taking charges and fleecing customers, you know. But I believe that when crypto solutions begin to do most of the things that banks should leave for the fintech industry, there would be the question of, whether they want to innovate. And I think some banks are beginning to see the lights. They're beginning to, you know, test the waters, put their legs. I remember one of the banks in Nigeria, I won't mention names, they started to give their customers tokens. They call it something coins, that they're giving their customers when they do transactions and all of that. That's taken from the crypto playbook, and that makes sense because it also will help them to begin to understand why crypto needs to exist. Because whether you fight it, whether you speak against it, whatever you do, crypto is here to stay. And I believe what the banks need to do is to understand how they can put a layer on top of the crypto solutions that are available to make it much easier for people to get in and out of, crypto services, as it were. But I also believe that there's also the fear of whether people are going to use crypto for nefarious activities. And data shows that that's not the case. Of course, there are a few bad eggs, but data shows that of all the money laundering and things going on the dark web and all of that, most of it is still done with fiat currency. So it means that crypto, as as people feel, could be used as a way to evade certain what's the word to use now? Certain things, but I don't think so. I believe crypto can do just crypto can, to a large extent, give banks another way to offload some of the responsibilities that they're carrying now that shouldn't even be theirs in the first place. And it's just a matter of, studying and understanding what the innovation is and how it solves the problem that, financial services problem. Like I said, if you're going to bank the unbanked, there's a high chance that the banking industry cannot handle that workload. But crypto can do that in a snap. You could create tokens, you could create governance structures around that. You could, and that's why it's funny to me that even the CBN is interfering with something that is within the purview of the SEC, because I believe SEC has some subject matter experts who understand what crypto is and what it's supposed to do, and should be the ones formulating policies around it. But well, it's Nigeria. We know how everything goes.
Now, for African countries, let me take, for example, Nigeria. An issue happened over some few months. It's still ongoing. Now, we are looking at countries not just being holders, but being able to also make some revenue off this industry. Where am I going to? If we go to the US, most of the centralized exchanges that deal in cryptocurrency are registered in those countries. And if you are registered, you pay tax. You don't just pay tax, you pay consultancy. You don't just pay that. For most of them, they will employ people within those nations. We don't have that happening in Africa because most African governments, leaders are not aware. I'm trying to run away from the word ignorance. I'm also trying to run away from the word lazy. How can African governments start getting revenue from this industry? Prof, we need to hear you tell us about this.
Okay, so I believe that the first, of course, stage is being more open to understand, first and foremost, how the industry works. Because once that understanding is gotten, it's a lot easier to then understand where are the revenue spots in this thing. So, for example, taxation. Crypto is one place where you know money is being made like on a daily basis, right? Ordinary people are starting with empty wallets to something more good looking some months down the line after some work. And that means that there's a lot of revenue that is possible, through crypto, which means taxes are one area that governments can, pull some revenue in. But like I said before, you cannot expect to draw value from something that you're fighting or that you're against, right? Secondly, I believe that many of the aid services that governments have been, what's the word to use now? That governments have been, um, pushing, like all these social services that governments are trying to implement. I believe that crypto could make it a lot easier for the government to not only be transparent, but also, track and deliver these things. And it's cheaper because at the end of the day, you only need to, create a blockchain, populate it with real data, and then that data cannot be altered. You can't have people gaming the system because the thing with the blockchain is once you mess with one block, you invalidate all the others before it. So, which means transparency will be high, costs will be low, and so many other areas that I believe that the government can. But then the question is, does the government want to be transparent? I'm sure we all know the answer to that question. And that's why, to a large extent, I believe that the main source of revenue could be taxes, if government loosen up a bit and take a moment to first and foremost understand how this thing works. It's not what's the word to use now? It's not a war zone. It's just an innovation, right? It's just a new way of doing things that is better than what we used to have before. Now, crypto is a necessary innovation. It's important for the advancement of humanity. And I believe that beyond even just people to people transactions, you could have machine to machine transactions. You could have, so for example, we've seen in some movies where you have fridges that could check the inventory in the fridge and place an order for replacements, right? Those things exist in the world at the moment. Internet of Things devices that are highly intelligent, could make certain things a lot easier for everybody, really. But usually Africa, we always come by those things much later. And I believe that if governments in Africa will be more open, they can cause an explosion in the innovations that are possible in that industry. And this, for me, is one of the things that I believe that um, could spark the renaissance of Africa, really, because I said before that crypto, in my honest opinion, and crypto and Africa are a match made in heaven. It is what Africa needs. Africa needs it. It's not a want, it's a need. It's something that could make all the difference and could make the job um, of pulling people out of poverty and all of that the government talks about all the time. They're always saying that all the time, but I don't think they mean it because their actions obviously points to the complete opposite of that. So it's just about governments being less I'm trying not to use some words because me and Nigerian government, we have we have small this thing, but I'm trying not to use some kind of words on air, but the most important thing here is to understand that there's a lot that crypto could give. And the thing is, with taxation, crypto transactions are very transparent. So you can see them in real time, literally everywhere. You don't have to be, they can't tell you lies on the crypto, on the blockchain. If a transaction is done, it's there in the open. Anybody who needs access to it can see it. And that means that people cannot hide away from taxes. People cannot, of course, there's some parts of crypto that allows people to do some, hidden things. But most countries are even banning those versions of crypto. So it's not like they're mainstream. Bitcoin, for example, is very transparent. You could check Bitcoin transactions from beginning to the end. On the blockchain, it's fairly accessible to everybody. Of course, that begs the question of privacy and all of that. But at the same time, wallets don't have names, but they're traceable, and it's just a matter of bringing, what's the word to use now? Of bringing policies that ensures that, people can interact with crypto in a more safer way. Like for example, the ETF that was approved in the US, there was always fear of, oh, this thing is very volatile, it could hurt a lot of people. And the guys who were applying for the ETF had to show to the SEC that they had enough solutions to combat some of those things, right? And I think this is where governments need to be open-minded, because if they're not open-minded, they would cancel and say no to those things without thinking. And I believe that crypto has a lot of promise. For why do you think governments are beginning to hold crypto on their balance sheet? It should tell you something. You mentioned the US, you mentioned a few other countries who are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. There has to be a reason for that, and I believe our government can learn from that. But then again, let me just let me just leave it at that.
Again, Africa will surely rise. For those that are wondering, they listen, they watch. And that's why we say, don't stop talking. That is more like our mantra on SOUQ Pulse. We don't stop talking. No matter what it is, good, bad, we say it. And we tell other people, let's keep talking. They will hear. If they don't do it, we'll keep talking. Maybe then we'll talk in front of their faces, because I know that they are human and they will do the best. Now, for this issue, I just wanted to talk about this for let's say a minute, and we'll move on to most of our concluding part. We get to see a lot of this being out on our media spaces. A week it starts, maybe a month it stops. Next 4 weeks it starts, and you don't know what direction they are following. And what am I looking at? That particular word, ban, ban. This policy wakes up today and they say they are banning cryptocurrency transactions. It wakes up the next 4 days, they say, no, we are not. Next 3 weeks, you just don't know what direction they are taking. This happens across Africa. How can we address this and have a direct policy on this industry?
Okay, well, I think first it starts with education because you cannot regulate something you don't understand. That's a given. No matter how eager you are to protect, and sometimes it's amusing when they say they're trying to protect the citizens by, putting up some of these things. And I believe that most of the time it's also coming from ignorance because if you know what the potentials are, you will look beyond the assumptions that you have made, which most of the time are erroneous and inaccurate, right? And I believe that governments need to, um, set up think tanks and people who could look into the industry, understand what the promise is, and bring it the into the policy room to decide what could be valuable and all of that. But I think the problem most African governments have is that first of all, you have incompetent people in positions of power. So, and many of them are not open to opinions of experts. So you have people who know about this thing, who could tell you how to find and navigate around it, but nobody is listening to. I remember some years ago when we were lobbying the SEC to, put up certain regulations. It was the crypto players who were trying to get the SEC to put up certain regulations so that, we could have a more sanitized industry in Nigeria, but that didn't happen, only for CBN to wake up one day and say they're banning something. And it's not even within their purview, but, and that's why it's difficult to tell what you're going to get from Nigeria, whether it's a ban today, is unbanned tomorrow. So it's difficult to tell. And the problem with that is that it's difficult to plan, it's difficult to create solutions, it's difficult to have any form of, sustained growth. You get what I'm saying? But I believe that at the end of the day, governments, know what they're doing. I don't think they're entirely ignorant. I think sometimes some of these things may be deliberate because I believe that, especially for Africans, if you allow more and more people into the crypto industry and they begin to, liberate themselves in financially, professionally, and many other ways, it's going to create a more upwardly mobile, especially Nigeria has a very youthful population. So it means it's going to empower a lot of youths to, and an empowered youth will ask for his rights. And I don't think government wants that to happen yet. Maybe down the line, maybe I don't know. But currently, I don't see any signs that that is the case. And that therefore means that, you know, um, we that were in the industry, we continue to do our own bits to educate as much as we can. I remember the periods when I was getting invited a lot by EFCC, and I had to do a lot of educating. I had to explain a lot of things because there were a lot of misconceptions, there were a lot of misunderstandings about how the whole thing operates, So, there were people who would come there who were suspects who would tell them, oh, we are mining Bitcoin in our backyard. And you go to the backyard, there's nothing there, no mining rig, nothing, no, and it's even impossible for people to mine Bitcoin at scale in Nigeria because of the infrastructural deficit there. But some of these things are things that are said to law enforcement, and these guys will take it as fact. And it takes education to help people to first understand what they're dealing with, and then secondly, to help them see how they can create, policies and decisions around how this can benefit. Because at the end of the day, it's about benefiting the larger society, right? And I believe crypto has the ability to do that. It can bring people that are, usually cut off from the financial system. Because if somebody is out of the financial system, they obviously can't trade. They can't bring value to the society, and crypto can bridge that gap. It can bring a lot of people the into the what do I call it now? Into the financial system, and then allow the system to create as much value as possible. And I believe that this is what the government should be trying to do, trying to first understand this innovation. How can it benefit us? Not just put up defenses and say, oh, this thing is affecting our economy. How? Nobody can articulate it. Everybody just, throwing things around. But I believe if people will just do the job of first and foremost knowing what crypto can do and what crypto cannot do, and then those are going to create, that's going to create a, first of all, understanding of what needs to be done. And I believe with time, there's now going to be, proper steps in the right direction. But for now, I think we're just having to take it as it comes, because if you're trying to build something that could be of benefit to the country, for example, there are a lot of crypto solutions that could attract a lot of FX to Nigeria, which will solve many of the FX problems that the country currently faces. And I personally believe that crypto is responsible for, to a large extent, stabilizing the naira and keeping it under certain limits, even though everybody blames crypto for the opposite. But my data shows me that that's not the case. But nobody is listening. Everybody has their opinion and have made their choices. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. You cannot, you can fight it, you can talk against it, but it remains sacrosanct. And that's what is most important.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Awe. It's been a pleasure having you on SOUQ Pulse today. One thing is sure, education, education, education. We keep and always need to keep educating Africa. Leaders involved, leaders are like, they must hear, they must learn. It's only what they know they can implement, just like you've said. I want to say thank you very much for being part of SOUQ Pulse today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, to everyone out there, this is one thing that is sure. When there's a new technology out there, it's either you key in or it will leave you. The technology for the wars and weapons have come, it's gone. The technology to the moon has come, it's gone. Mars is still here, Elon Musk and his followers. That we can't compete. But this is with us. We have the numbers. We have the holders. Our government should take this serious. Is it to weed out the bad eggs? It's not difficult. Whoever comes to register, whatever form of exchange for the people to use, the government should know beforehand. Where and when governments can play, government should play. Where and where individuals can play, individuals should play. There are a whole lot of ledger out there. This is a blockchain. It affects every aspect of life, and we can use it positively. I will be glad tomorrow to know that even if we can't achieve transparency for now, but at least we are playing in this industry and playing well. Same thing with our banks. Let's join the race. We might not be in front, but let's join the race. Remember, never keep quiet. We keep talking, just like we say on SOUQ Pulse. And it's been nice having you all through this week. Have yourself a beautiful weekend. My name is SOUQ, John Roger SOUQ. We'll do this again on Monday. And when I get to see you, See that beautiful smile on your face. Take care and show some love. Bye.